2-3 does not sound too good. The Chiefs made some mistakes. How can they recover from them? Well, everybody's got to pull it together. We're going to detail that today with Matt Derrick on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome in, Chiefs Kingdom. Thanks for making us your first listen today here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day. We're brought to you by FanDuel. This episode and every other one. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets for your account to use across the app wherever you'll like to. Check it out at FanDuel. We have a lot to cover. This is a team that was going in the right direction, looked explosive even for a quarter on Monday Night Football, and then the bottom fell out. How do they recover? What do they do next? And why in the world did this go on in Jacksonville? Matt Derrick here from ChiefsDigest.com. You can find him there as well as Chiefs Digest here on the YouTube platform, and 41 is the mic. You can find Chris at KC Chiefs Corner, my partner in crime for 9 years on this show. Matt's been here at least 7 or 8 of it, Matt. So, I mean, this is a trio you've seen on Wednesdays for a little bit. I'm Ryan. You can find me at NFL33.com and RGRfootball.com. We are going to run it down. The multiple system failures that went on in this ball game to produce this result. It can't all be on the leaders, but can they do anything to turn it around in lieu of what we just saw? And then the Lions are still out there, kind of prowling, kind of lurking, just waiting for the chance to pounce. We have a lot to cover today, Matt. Multiple failures is kind of the way that I termed it. I got home very late. Everybody knows that I had some family things going on. I rewatched it by myself at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I immediately turned on, whatever submarine movie I could put on with crashing and implosions and settling on the bottom of the sea, because that's honestly what it felt like. Mistake after mistake after mistake. Self-inflicted is not even a nice way to put it, but it's the absolute truth. I felt like this was a culmination of small things that added up to the loss. Is there something that I'm missing or something that you felt was more key than anything else?
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. It was just a handful of mistakes. And you say a handful of mistakes, 13 penalties. That's every single one of them was a mistake. And it seemed to come at really bad times and inopportune moments. 4 special teams penalties, that's not normal. That should not happen. And it's not even as much the penalty yardage, but what you got wiped out, because I don't think that those penalties had any impacts on the returns. Wiped out 78 yards of field position, which when you're outgaining your opponent significantly and you lose 78 yards of field position on returns, and then you're almost a 100-yard deficit and penalties. I mean, that's how, you're able to make it up. And the pick 6 was a mistake. The Jacksonville had a touchdown drive that was extended by a maybe questionable defensive pass interference call. A couple of guys deciding that they were going to break up an interception and,
from each other. Yeah.
From each other. I mean, it was just there were some comic mistakes, some bad luck, some focus mistakes, some just paying attention. There was a little bit of everything in this game. And honestly, I mean, had the Chiefs made a couple of mistakes fewer, they win this game, because let's face it, they dominated every aspect. They dominated offensively. They dominated defensively. The only area where they really didn't dominate was special teams, and that was really by and large because of the penalties. I mean, Chiefs did enough to win this game. This is a game that they normally win. And the fact that they didn't win this game is frustrating. It's frustrating to the coaches. It's frustrating to the players. And they've got to figure out how not to let this happen again.
Crazy thing to me is 2 of your biggest leaders on this team, Patrick Mahomes and Nick Bolton, both make good plays. Mahomes made good plays throughout the night. I mean, his touchdown pass was good. His run was a excellent read on his part. But the interception really cost him. And then Nick Bolton makes that fumble recovery at the goal, or the fumble at the goal line, and then comes back and is part of that. Should have been an interception, but turned into just an incomplete pass that led to a Jaguars touchdown. You look at this game and you look at those 2 players making those types of, and I hate to say it's a mistake for Bolton. Maybe it's more of a mistake for Tranquil for trying to go out get that ball when Bolton looked like he had it. But those 2 guys in particular, you expect to play close to perfect. And generally speaking, both of them do. Nick Bolton has been playing very well for the Chiefs this year. Patrick Mahomes has been playing pretty well. You can't overcome those sometimes. And when you win the turnover battle, and I think I saw somebody say that the Chiefs had won 34 games in a row when winning the turnover battle, and they finally lost one. Jaguars had turned the ball over 3 times in every single game this year until they played the Chiefs, and they got 1 turnover, and it cost Kansas City 14 points because they were going to score a touchdown at some point. Matt, when you look at this and you look at kind of how this is going to go going forward for this team, they just keep making mistakes and they keep shooting themselves in the foot. How do you get past that? How do you address that as, not just the leaders, but the entire team? How do you address that as the organization, really?
Yeah, and this is where in the light of day, 24 hours to kind of think about it, I'm probably, while I'm blaming the mistakes on why the Chiefs ended up losing this game, because, and we've talked about this before, and Chris and I talked about it last night, so many games can come down to 5 plays. And it's 5 plays that, hey, if both teams make plays, you're going to end up with a close game. If all the breaks go one way, that team's probably going to win it. This game came down to probably 5 plays, and all 5 plays, the ball bounced away of the Jaguars. They had the good fortune. They had the good luck. I don't know that there was any really play that you could look at the game last night and say, whoa, the Chiefs really got a break there. I know there were some commenters on Twitter that will say that the Chiefs got some breaks on play calls and penalties. I don't see how that's the case since they were penalized as much as they were. And I thought it was a really weirdly officiated game. I'm not sure that it was well officiated. And if you're the Chiefs, you're not blaming the officials, you're blaming yourself. I mean, you put yourselves into those positions. Even if there's some cases like, hey, on the special teams penalties, I don't know. Here, Ryan, you're gonna have to talk me out of having a tinfoil hat on. I felt like either that the Jaguars either saw something on tape that they alerted the officials to, that they wanted them to know about, to watch closely with the Chiefs when it comes to maybe some, holding, when bringing guys down, maybe, the double team block, because those things seem to be there. They seem to be on edge for those last night. I mean, you get those every once in a while. You don't usually get them in batches. And honestly, and at least one of those on Jack Cochran, I felt like Cochran got tackled just as much as the tackler and the defender was tackling him. So I thought there was some sketchy calls there. But again, I mean, if Jacksonville saw something on tape that they felt like that they could put the Chiefs in a situation to commit the penalties, kudos to Jacksonville. They got it done. And those are the kind of things that you have to clean up if you're the Chiefs. But some of the things we're talking about, just bad luck. I mean, the pass interference on Jalen Watson, he slipped. That was all that was to it. I mean, it wasn't an intentional pass interference. He slipped on the turf and kind of grabbed the guy and got penalized for it. I mean, if he doesn't slip, he doesn't commit the penalty. You get a couple of guys going for a football, trying to make a play. I mean, if there's one fewer defender there, the Chiefs probably come up with the interception. Honestly, too, we saw the pick 6. What if, when Nick Bolton knocks the ball away, George Karlaftis picks it up and starts running with it instead of getting tackled? That could have been a 99-yard play the other direction. I mean, there was some bad luck. I mean, I don't think it was entirely the Chiefs just giving away the game. They certainly gave Jacksonville some opportunities that they shouldn't have. But sometimes you go through games like this and it's just not bouncing your way. And I like I said, I put the onus on losing this game on the Chiefs. I didn't really feel like Jacksonville went out and won this game. They had one really nice drive at the end, which they once again also benefited enormously for some great field position because of the kickoff out of bounds. I mean, once again, the luck went the Jacksonville way and they took advantage of it.
You're not going to get me to talk you off the ledge. In fact, I might fold that tinfoil hat for you, to tell you the truth. But there are more to that, and I agree with you. I would say that I thought Lawrence put up more of a performance than I expected. I didn't expect him to be run like that. But honestly, when your quarterbacks are running like this, you're doing it wrong anyway. There are things that the leaders have to get down to the bottom of it, and it's not necessarily the guys on the field. Andy Reid, it stops and ends with you. And so far, it's been a roller coaster for Andy Reid this season. How can they turn it around? That's next. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and you're in business. You can get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across their app. It's super simple. And if you know your first one, it helps you get on a roll. Without a doubt, it makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action, when you're involved. It's not just for the casual fan, but if you love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes that game day experience that much more. You got to get into it. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com or download the FanDuel app today and get started. It's at FanDuel. There are things that leaders can do. They have to get back to basics. I think that is something we've had to talk about twice now this season where we get on this roll. So it becomes about how can you actually affect change, not just know what to do, but do it. And I think there are some things that you have to build on. One, I felt like despite not running enough, I felt like they ran well. Kudos to Isaiah Pacheco for taking the pressure that he's been under and turning it into something that actually showed up visually on the field in not just running hard, but running through more tackles. I thought that was key. The fact that they actually ran counter a couple of times to score those touchdowns. Those are effective run plays that you can now build on. I thought Tyquan Thornton's performance was there as a crutch. Obviously, I don't know what swelling was going to cause that kind of performance from Xavier Worthy, but obviously it affected him, and you need someone to step out. Tyquan Thornton's been a guy that has been coming on very, very strong. Those are things. But if you're Andy Reid, I don't think that's enough to turn this around, especially when the defense seems to be lulled to sleep at times. And I don't think that's necessarily a preparation thing in terms of on the field. I feel like this is a team that mentally is not prepared to put teams in the ground. I don't feel that they're ready to play a full 90 minutes, Matt. How do they get past that?
Yeah, I mean, and interesting when you make that point because I felt like they did that against Baltimore. I mean, they did a pretty good job of putting that team away and finishing that game strong. The weakness, obviously, that we've talked about over the years with the Chiefs is that they do struggle to put teams away, and especially, playing down to the level of their opponent. And it felt, again, a little bit like that now you're up 14-0. You should be, as a Chiefs fan, feeling pretty good. And the one frustrating I think about that to me was when you're talking about putting a team away, Ryan, is that you're up 14-7. You've got the ball, 2:38, I think, left before halftime. You've got the ball, you've got possession, you're getting the ball to start the second half. You need a kind of slow and steady drive to just go down and get points, even if it's a field goal. You should be focusing on getting points there. No, instead, they go 3 and out. Jacksonville gets the ball back. Don't do anything with it, but really killed your momentum there. Then you open the second half. It's another 3 and out. Your 2 worst drives of the game were in that middle 8, that last 4 minutes of the first half, first 4 minutes of the second half. And you could argue that that drive that the Jaguars had start the second half went a little bit longer. But at best, you're going to say that the Chiefs lost the middle 8 7-0 and arguably lost it 14-0. That can't happen when you've got a chance to double dip. You should be the team that's coming out of that +7, +10, +14 points. And the Chiefs just did not do that. So they missed an opportunity. And what was really surprising about that to me is that every other drive of the game, they were in control of the tempo. They were in control of setting everything. Protection was brilliant most of the night. I mean, Mahomes had plenty of time to throw. Jacksonville ran a lot of zone at them, and we've talked about the Chiefs having trouble with zone. Patrick Mahomes did not have trouble with it last night. He absolutely picked it apart. And this was a team that, hey, if they had Trayvon Walker, would have been different. Could they have gotten pressure with 4 and therefore their 7-man zones would have been a little bit more effective? Maybe. But bottom line is that they did not get any pressure on Patrick last night, and Patrick took advantage of that, and the zones did not bother him because he had plenty of time to throw. The number of times that he was just standing in the pocket, pointing at guys, telling them to move and where to go. I mean, directing traffic. I mean, this was 2018, 2019 Mahomes that we were watching, and that's the kind of team that should be putting up a bunch of points. 28 points is good. They left some points on the field. Absolutely no doubt about it. They had obviously one drive that stopped at the goal line, and another couple of drives that just went absolutely nowhere. They had a couple of maybe questionable decisions on punting on the plus side of the field, especially that 4th and 2 from the 46 early in the game. As aggressive as Andy Reid has been, it's something that maybe they have gone for so far this season, especially as successful as they've been on 4th down. It seemed as though the Chiefs, to your point, Ryan, they reined it in a little bit and maybe didn't have that killer instinct with the play calling. I think they had that killer instinct with the offensive game plan, but even the defensive game plan, I'm not sure had the real killer instinct on Monday night.
It's interesting to me. You talk about the offensive line, and Mahomes, according to PFF, and obviously there's going to be some people that disagree with this, got hit once. That is a phenomenal night for the offensive line. And it doesn't look like, according to PFF, the offensive line the actual offensive line gave up a hit on Mahomes at all the entire night. It was a blitz, and Kareem Hunt missed a pass rusher, and Mahomes got hit. My whole point with that is this offensive line has continued to get better and better each and every week, and you see the offense starting to move in the right direction. It looks like things are starting to get figured out on the offensive side of the ball, but you talk about it and you look at the game, and they came out. We talked about this last night, Matt. The play to Xavier Worthy is probably a big gain if Josh Hines-Allen doesn't read it perfectly right before halftime.
Or they could have blocked him. Let's be real.
That was my question. Design. That was my question about why he was not blocked whatsoever.
He's the only guy on that defensive front that can hurt you, and you leave him standing by himself. Let's get serious.
Fair enough. That's a play design that they've run multiple times, and it usually works. And with Xavier Worthy, I can understand why they didn't block him. I get what you're saying. But you think you get past the defensive end, and then you don't have to worry about it, and you have everybody else blocked. So regardless, the next drive, they come out, and the first play is a 0-yard play to Isaiah Pacheco up the middle. Goes back to exactly what Andy Reid had been struggling with at different times. This is an offense that has the ability to put teams away at times, but they get in their own way with play calling, and they get in their own way with players not bringing down the ball when they need to. This offense needs to be more consistent, and I do think that that's going to happen. We'll see. It might not happen against the Lions, unfortunately, but they do have Rashee Rice coming back after this game, so I think that's going to be a big, huge key for this team. But you're right, Matt. The big question that you have to answer going forward, and the other thing that didn't make sense to me is the aggressiveness Andy Reid showed in the Baltimore game. Looked like he finally and maybe started to turn the corner of, okay, we need to be aggressive. We need to be attacking. And then they come back this week and they don't attack in specific situations where I think they should have. But we have a lot more to cover. We need to get talking about this Lions matchup, which is going to be coming up sooner rather than later, considering we're already talking about Wednesday because they played on Monday night. So short week for the Chiefs. Lots to talk about with this Lions matchup coming up on Sunday Night Football right after this.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at One Peloton.
Check out Peloton and everything they can do for you, or you can do for them, whichever way that works. Check out KC Chiefs Corner, as well as Chiefs Digest for Matt and NFL 33 for me. I want to go back for just a second, Matt, because you had a good point. Maybe I oversimplified, but I've come to a realization during this conversation, and that is the Baltimore Ravens are not the Baltimore Ravens, and that game is absolutely meaningless because it's the complete outlier from this entire team's attitude. How do they take that feeling of beating a team that was not physically prepared to even try to compete with them and turn that towards the Lions, who are still surging and still a team that, not to be disrespectful, but doesn't know any better, that maybe they don't know exactly how to go about it. This team has to find who they are still. I think they're lost. Am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong, and this is the thing. It's not exactly entirely similar to Jacksonville, but there's a little bit of similarities here, in that really the Lions haven't been tested so far this season. They're on a 4-game winning streak. Those 4 wins are against the Bears in a blowout, 38-30 over Baltimore. 34-10 against the Browns, 37-24 over the Joe Burrow-less Bengals. Tell me which one of those 4 wins is impressive. I mean, I guess if you beat the Bears by 31, but I think a lot of teams might beat the Bears by 31. If anything, I mean, the fact that the Chiefs just absolutely destroyed the Baltimore Ravens offense and the Detroit defense could not stop them, I think is intriguing. And, it looks like, hey, the secondary of the Lions might have some issues in this week. We'll see. I mean, they may not be as bad as it first looked, but they could still be down a guy this week. And if that's the case, you're the Chiefs. It's something that you want to target. Obviously, one of the strengths of this Lions defense is their front 4. They can get after the quarterback. This offensive line is going to have another impressive day of protecting their guy. And if they can do that, if they can keep the pressure off of Mahomes, I think this is a team that the Chiefs can move the football against. The Lions defense, for the most part, is a little bit middle of the pack. They're not terrible. They're not great. Not falling behind, but I mean, this is, like I said, it's somewhat similar to the Ravens in that the Lions are a team that's scoring a lot of points against a lot of bad defenses, and they're giving up some yards against some bad offenses. So I think it's just going to be interesting to see what happens in the first quarter of this game in particular, because in theory, the Chiefs, if they can get off to a hot start, which I think that there's a chance that they can, because this is going to be a faster team, stronger team than the Lions have faced coming out all season long. And as a result, I mean, that's your chance if you're the Chiefs to have an early lead and to put it up. And if you can get an early lead and hold on to it all the way.
It's going to be a fascinating game for me, because you're absolutely right. The Lions haven't played anybody that you feel like is a good team right now. The one team that I guess you could argue is a good team they lost to in the Packers. And so now you're sitting here in a situation where I said this 2 weeks ago, or I said this right after the Baltimore win. If Kansas City can find a way to be 3-3 when Rashee Rice comes back, they're going to be in a great position. Now, that's a much taller task after you lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars, but it's still sitting there in front of you. This offense, I think, has shown that it has the ability to attack, and I think that the Lions are going to be down 2 corners, so that could be a huge factor in this. But the other thing that I think is going to be intriguing is the Baltimore Ravens were the number 1 scoring offense when they played the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Chiefs shut them down. They got up for that game, and their defense shut them down. Now, it's a question, is it going to be something where they can get up for this game in the Lions? But if they are able to do that, and they're able to play sound defensive football and not beat themselves, this could be a very good game on Sunday night that I'm looking forward to. Matt, what do you think is the biggest key for Kansas City to try to get a win against this Lions team?
I mean, the one player that probably stands out, and I'm setting aside the offensive side, because right now I think that Patrick Mahomes and that side of the unit is playing pretty well right now. So I don't have a lot of questions. Puts it on the defensive side. And to me, that starts and ends with Chris Jones. And I know Chris Jones is a lightning rod this week. There is a lot of questions. There's a lot of commentary. And I'll be honest, I'm not agreeing with a whole lot of it. I'm not entirely sure what Chris Jones was thinking on the final play on the Trevor Lawrence touchdown. I know that it probably wouldn't have even been set up and had that situation had the right guard of the Jaguars just been beaten so soundly by Chris Jones all night that he steps on the foot of Trevor Lawrence and kind of starts the whole thing in that direction. And I don't know what point Chris Jones, if he takes off, stops the play. If anything, I think it harkens back to week 1 against Justin Herbert and the Chargers that Chris Jones broke contain. He got away from his position and where he was supposed to be and ended up giving up a first down run that ended the game. I get people are saying, well, it looks like Chris Jones wasn't moving anywhere, but he was in the middle of the field. I mean, he was absolutely being in a position that was going to keep Trevor Lawrence from scrambling up the middle. So it forced Lawrence to go in a different direction. And if you think that the Chiefs defense is better off without Chris Jones or that Chris Jones is just phoning it in, there is no dude on this team that works harder than Chris Jones. I mean, I get that there's going to be some criticisms from time to time, and Chris might make some business decisions. He may make decisions where he's like, wait a minute, I know that I don't have the speed to get this guy. I'm not going to chase him down. I'm better off saving my powder for another play. And honestly, I mean, it looked like in most of that play that was the situation. I don't think he saw any opportunity where he could make a bigger difference than where he was on the field, is to simply keep Trevor Lawrence from going up the middle. Other guys had a chance to bring him down. And honestly, the Chiefs kind of got in their own way on that. Jerry Tillery and Drew Tranquill kind of, fouled up on that. I mean, if anything, that one play in particular, I think, stressed that the Chiefs did not play a completely disciplined football game defensively against Jacksonville. Even though I think the Chiefs defense played it well enough to win that game, they were not as disciplined as they have been in recent games. But I just have a hard time blaming Chris Jones. I mean, especially a week after burying his aunt, having a really emotional time right now. Hey, I don't know what's going on in the guy's head, but I've seen Chris Jones make plays. I've seen Chris Jones be there for this team enough that I'm not going to look at that one play and say Chris Jones cost this team the game. I don't think that's the case at all.
I won't argue with you. I don't think he cost the game or that particular play, but I will say this. Just by his bull rush, the fact that the quarterback's already lying on the ground, he could have stopped that play as well as any of the other players that you've mentioned. This was a collapse across that defensive unit on that particular play. But that said, the Lions are another opportunity. Did they have the same kind of resources? No, you're going to have to come at them. And the lack of pass rush as a general whole is the problem that I think starts this whole process, that exposed the defensive secondary last night and exposed the fact that you don't have enough legitimate go-to options when your first four are not working. Is there anything they can do about it, Matt?
Well, one, I mean, I think you are crossing your fingers that Omar Norman-Lot is healthy and comes back, because I think he's increasingly your second best interior player. Last night you saw a lot of, Derrick Nottie in there, and Derrick Nottie's in a nice rotational piece, not necessarily the centerpiece as your number 2 defensive tackle. You saw a lot of Mike Dana even in some defensive tackle roles that were not even just straight passing situations or third down situations. He was out there in some run situations as well. And that's not ideal. So that, to me, I mean, Omar Norman-Lot is not necessarily indispensable to this point, but he's critical because he can do things out there on the field that some of these other guys can't do. And he gives, I think, Chris Jones a little bit more freedom, and he helps him out a little bit. But again, we saw the same thing again last night that we've seen all season. Chris Jones is grabbing a lot of double and triple teams. Where's the production off that defensive line? Because those guys are facing one-on-one matchups, and they're not always winning and getting them home.
Yeah, it's a huge storyline going into this game. Is the pass rush is non-existent, and while the Chiefs do have an answer coming on the offensive side that should help them, they don't really have one on the defensive side. That's going to be a big question for how this game is going to turn out. Ryan, you got anything else?
No, I'm still decompressing here. It's not about assigning blame. It's about fixing the gaps, and there are too many of them in too many different places. It's whack-a-mole right now. The Chiefs got to settle down. I think that they'll be able to do it. We're going to circle back with you. We will be live post-game as we always are. We will see Matt again. But, Matt, thank you for your insights today and keeping things on a straighter curve. You know, I'll take us off course. It'll be fun.
Hey, I just always try to be objective. I'm not trying to be the fanboy one way or the other here. And certainly the Chiefs don't need me to defend them. And Chris Jones doesn't need me to defend him. But I just try to give both sides, and sometimes I guess it makes me unpopular.
Nah, I think you're popular just fine. Thank you all for being with us. Enjoy Matt's writing. And, so when I'm out on a crazy limb, just remember, Matt is the voice of reason. So we appreciate you being here with us today. Make sure you like and sub and do all the things. And one of us will click this thing and it's going to work because we have a lot of production into this show. Go to Casey Chiefs Corner, hit Chiefs Digest, NFL 33 and RGR Football. Thank you very much. Tomorrow, we're going to break it down and continue getting ready for the Detroit Lions in a game that is now suddenly much more important than it was a week ago. Thanks for being with us, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.